Alright folks, what is up? This is One Big Bug and I'm coming at you with Euro Truck Simulator 2. We're continuing on with our Picking Your First Truck series, and as you can see, I already have the Renault Premium purchase. Normally I do this on the recording so that I can go over the truck more, but in going over the truck early in the video, I was messing up really bad and I was constantly calling the Renault Premium the DAF and the Euro 6, and I don't know why. And I was feeling really stupid about it, so I just decided to cut it there and start over. So that's why I already have the premium purchased and ready to go. So with that being said, we will go to the truck manager and we'll pick the premium. I don't know if that's, yeah, it's the premium I'm driving. So it's the Renault Premium Normal Roof 4x2. It has 380 horsepower at 1800 newton meters that start at 950 RPM and go up to 400. It has an OptiDrive gearbox with a 1000-liter tank. So it's actually a pretty decent truck in terms of stats. However, let's go over the truck itself, shall we? Now we go to the exterior of the truck, and the first thing you may notice about the DAF is it's actually narrower than most of the other trucks. It really is. It just, I don't know, it's not like significantly narrower. It's not like significant, but it's enough that you can actually see it. And that usually translates to instability when driving, and I'll get back to that in a moment. The one thing that the premiums have going for it is their unique look. They're two of the most unique looking trucks in the game, the Premium and the Magnum, that is. But you can't use the Magnum to level 10, so that's not going to get reviewed. But the Premium, again, still has a very unique look, second only to its bigger brother, the Magnum. So that's always something cool. I think it's a really cool looking truck. Now in terms of stability, the Premium actually has a fairly long chassis. Although the cab is a little bit smaller, or at least appears to be a little bit smaller, so it doesn't have quite the front weight that other trucks would, or at least appears to be that way. But the chassis is fairly long, so it does have stability to it, although not as good as, say, the MAN, the Euro 6. So I'm not sure why the truck would be narrower, but it is. Oops, wrong button, my apologies. Now inside the truck, the mirrors, I don't know what to say about them. They're oddly shaped and oddly positioned. The bug-eye mirror is tilted towards the cab at the top so that it's going up and away, and the larger flat mirror is tilted away from the cab at the top so it's going down. But despite this odd placement in terms of how they are set, and the fact that they look like they're shaped really, really, really weirdly, to the point that I can't even say it's a shape, or what shape it is, you still have a very good view. You have a very big clear view in the flat mirror and a really solid view in the bug-eye mirror as well. So despite the odd shapes, you still have good sight views. Also, you have plenty of room in vision between the pillar and the mirror, and because the mirrors are set the way they are, you actually have a little bit more vision around the mirrors than what you would have in most other trucks. So that's really a positive. The interior of the DAF is light in beige and tan colors. And in comparison to other trucks that are usually dark or black, this is actually refreshing. It kind of gives the truck a whole lighter, airier feeling about it, and I really like that. It just makes the truck feel a little happier, I guess I could say. Now the front mirror for the DAF, the front view mirror, interestingly enough, is set in the middle of the truck. So that way you don't have to look all the way over to the right to see it. And that's actually really good. But it also can be annoying. You know, if you're someone like me and something like that will eventually start getting on your nerves, it can be bothersome. But it does actually help for those who like to use front mirrors that you don't have to constantly do this to see your front mirror. It's right there in your vision. So that's really cool. It's got a large windshield, plenty of sight view. You know that I'm big on having a nice, big, bright windshield that you can see through. And, of course, we have the dashboard now. So let's start that up. Listen to that starting sound. Whew. It has a nice sound. The Premium has a really nice sound. So interestingly enough, the Premium's dashboard is red, primarily red. A red digital display, which can actually be hard on the eyes after a while. Although the miles per hour in the middle is set at a white digital, the red just can be really harsh and difficult on the eyes. I found this because I've driven the DAF, there I go calling it DAF again. I've driven the Premium multiple times, and after a while, you know, the Premium and the Magnum has the same dash, my eyes were just really sore, and I realized it's because of the red dashboard. It also can make it a little bit harder to read. And God help you if you're colorblind to the red spectrum, which is fairly common. You may not be able to see well at all, if anything. So that does not help in any way, shape, or form. And yes, I do take colorblindness into account when going over things. There's not a lot I can do about it in terms of where the dashes things are set. Like in the tachometer, your power band is green, and green is the other common colorblind color, and then the high revs is red. But every truck's like that, so I don't point it out as it being different. But in every other truck, the dashboards tend to be blue or white, a little bit easier to see, as opposed to straight red and straight green. And the Premium is straight red. So not only is it hard in your eyes, but if you're colorblind to red, well, you may be screwed. Still, if you're not colorblind to red, it is difficult to read. I can see the fuel level, I can see the temperature, I see that we're in neutral, I don't have the cruise control set, I can change to the oil, change to how many liters I have and how far I can go, and read it fairly clearly, as well as my liters to distance per 100 liters. So all in all, pretty decent, but the choice of a flat red is really poor in my eyes. So that being said, anyways, let us find something to tow from here. Alright, 9 tons, it's a little too short. That's closer. 18 tons at 414, or 20 tons at 321, and this is just too far at 700, which is a shame because that would have been a nice tow. So it's between these two. Either way, we're going on a ferry. I think I'm going to stick with the shorter run on this route here, mainly because it's a heavier trailer by 2 tons, and I like to put it underweight. So it's not the heaviest trailer we've towed, but it's also not the lightest. Yeah, we need our floating GPS because the DAF does not have a floating GPS. I called it the DAF again, didn't I? Why am I doing this? Why am I like fixated? I've been doing it with pretty much every truck since the DAF, calling them the DAF. It's the Premium. It's got a pretty decent directional sound as well. It's got a nice click to it, although a little fast for my taste. I like it. I like the Man and the Mercedes, where they're slower. Now the Premium really does have a nice sound. It's slowing down, Jake brake, engine brake, retarder sound is really good. And so is its acceleration and regular sound. It actually sounds really nice. Alright, let's back it in. Hook it up. And just a quick look outside. That's a fairly decent sound, don't you think? And it looks pretty cool, too. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned about the Premium is the wing on top. In reality, that wing would help with airflow over the trailer. But in the game, it's really just cosmetic. It doesn't help performance. It doesn't help airflow. It doesn't help fuel consumption or anything like that. So that's why I really haven't mentioned it. Although I find it really weird that you have a sunroof with a wing over it. Makes perfect sense. Anyways. Now with all the torque that this truck has, it has no problem getting your load moving very easily. It's got plenty of down-low grunt pulling power. However, as you can see, even under 20 tons, not the best of acceleration. And that could probably be blamed straight on the Opti gearbox, because the engine has the torque. This is, I believe, second in torque only to the Euro 6. And it has the horsepower, again, 380 horsepower. So it's there, but it just doesn't seem to utilize it all that well. Seventh gear, 20 tons. Let's see how she pulls. Not very well. Still, it did manage to make the full climb in 7th, so I'll give it some props there. That hill was steeper than others that I had towed up, so we'll give it some props there. Hopefully we'll come across another hill that's a little bit more on par of what we towed beforehand. Alright, doesn't that look interesting? So right away, of course, it's an easy, smooth tow. There's no doubt about that. The DAF is kind of like a... there we go, DAF again. I apologize. I'm apparently going to be making that mistake this entire thing. And now that I've really been catching myself at it, I have a feeling that I've made that mistake quite a lot. But the Premium is kind of like the lower end luxury car of trucks. It looks nice. It's got a unique look. It's got a nice interior. There's something about it that just kind of feels higher class than other trucks. Where other trucks are trucks, this car is, well, this truck is more like a car. I am not doing good on keeping my words straight today, and I apologize for that. This truck is a little bit more, you know, minutely towards, I would say, a car. It just feels smoother. It feels quieter. You know, the interior, the look, everything about it just says, you know, it's a little bit more classy of a truck versus the other ones. You know, I guess you could compare it, what I'm looking for is blue collar versus white collar. The DAF kind of straddles the line between blue collar and white collar. It's a little bit white collar, it's a little bit blue collar. You know what I'm saying? Well, I guess you'd almost say it's middle management of trucks. We are already at our port of call, ready to head out. We are going, nope, there. Kind of weird how I nailed that pretty well, huh? There we go. Just gonna put the headlights on now. Now see, despite the fact that it has low grunt end power, again being second only to the Euro 6, it seems to have more of an issue getting started. That's not to say that it's getting off the block start is bad. By any means, it's not. But when you compare it to the MAN and you compare it to the Euro 6 and even the XF, it's not quite as good. It feels like it gets off the line a little bit slower. Even the Mercedes seems to have a bit more low end get up and go. I just kind of feel like they pull a little bit better. Really? You gonna change on me? Darn you. Huh, I can see my direction on the mirror. I did not know that. Let me get it in proper gear. I tried to time it and I screwed it up. Now, a point in the Premium's favor is that it's not as easy as the Mercedes and even the MAN was at over revving the engine. It's much easier to keep in the 1500 band by sound, so you don't have to sight view it as much. So it'll be an easy, quick adjustment for anyone who picks up this truck as their starter truck. I'll tell you, one of the things I hate most right now is waiting. I know I mentioned this before, but it gets worse every day. My video card has left Richmond, California. on its last update on its tracking. That was a while ago, and there's been no updates since. My keyboard has arrived in Richmond, California a while ago, and it has been no report of it leaving. And my two fans in vacuum are in California as well, of all things. And has been no update there because it shipped via UPS to California and then it was transferred to the post office. The post office update says they've been given the electronically notified of the package, but they actually haven't taken delivery of the package yet. So, very strange things as far as I'm concerned. It's very difficult for me not to check like a dozen times throughout the day to see if there's been an update. This really is a cool looking road. Not the sharpest of corners, but the premium feeling a bit solid still. Nothing too sharp yet. It's been holding the fort quite well. The RPM sounds a little high at 100 for cruising, but it's not. If you look at the tachometer, if we hit 100 again, you'll see that the reality is that it was well within the 1500 limit for cruising. So it shouldn't suck up its fuel all that fast if you decide to cruise at 100. But with the OptiDrive, unless you upgrade the transmission, if you try and cruise over 100, like I do at 110, and we're about to get a speeding ticket in 3, 2, well, it's a little faster now. It won't cruise very well at 110. It just won't. But 100's okay. If you upgrade the transmission, then it will cruise probably fairly well at about 110. That red dash display is already starting to sore up my eyes a little bit. Was actually feeling a little bit on edge there. I can't see that way. We're looking good. I give it credit, a bit of a hill here. It's 7th gear, 8th gear. It is accelerating, so it is putting those torques to use. But it just doesn't feel as good as the MAN or the XF, and definitely not the Euro 6. Now this is a heavier trailer than the XF towed, but it is lighter trailer than the MAN towed. And the Euro 6, I forget what we towed, so I really can't say. I think the Euro 6 may have been lighter by about a ton than what the XF towed. Bit of a corner here. Nothing too bad though. The roads here are really strange. You get this narrow, and then it expands, and it narrows, and it expands. And it could be really easy to be fooled by some of these roads. I love the trees, though. The trees look really nice. Not a whole lot to talk about right now. You know, pretty much broke down the truck as it stands. It's a fairly solid truck. It's a good beginner. I'm trying not to talk about later. I may do another high-end truck video. You know, we'll see how things go. But, you know, as it stands, it's a decent starter truck for sure. It has power. It cruises well. It's got a nice classy feel to it. It's easy to steer. However, under heavier trailers, and I'm thinking even, you know, 20 tons, maybe pushing it a little bit. Ooh, hello. Let me slow down a little bit more before I get brake checked. You know, the Premium's not known for its stability. Having a bit longer chassis helps compensate some for the narrowness of the truck, but not as much as you would think. And I'm not going to go out here and like take really sharp corners to try and showcase that. You know, that's not what I'm about. I wouldn't mind pushing the truck to its edge, just so I can get a feel of, you know, where you might start feeling a little bit nervous about what you're doing. Yeah, whatever. Can't be bothered with speeding tickets when we're doing a truck review. Still, it's gone really well. I mean, we've already covered the distance, the driving distance, mostly in its entirety. You know, we've got less than 70 kilometers to go now. Drop in speed pretty bad in the high gear, but it's managing to hold it. Yes, it's done very well. So overall in this drive, it's performed pretty much flawlessly. I have no arguments to its driving at all. You know, a lot of its flaws seem to come through practicality and design decisions rather than mechanically. This is a narrow little road here. Interesting design choice on the road. I mean, these are supposed to be copies of what they're actually like, that on one side of the road you get 2 lane, and on the other side of the road you only get 1. I wonder if that can contraflow at all. We're coming up on a little roundabout up here. Oh, please. I'll have to be very, very wary of speed if I come, well, when I come up here, when we get back to doing our career. Sightseers. Only 3 of 26. Oh yeah, and something I forgot about the premium, and it really does need to be stated, its horn, its bass horn. Yeah, that's a horn. Yeah. You won't want to beep your horn very often until you get an air horn. Awesome. Made the light. Unfortunately, that's where I wanted to turn. Oops. It's alright. We'll just hang a Yui here. So excuse me, I'm going to take up the road a little bit there, dude. Can you, like, stop? I did not. You liar. Oh, whatever. Last video was, must be around back. Last video was crashes. This video's tickets. Well, this is interesting. Nope, that is definitely the wrong way. I'm gonna have to do this, aren't I? Oops. Way too high gear. Good enough. Okay, yep. Alright, so the Renault Premium. I actually got the name right at least once. What can I say about it? Well, it has a unique look. It has good mirror placement. It has a good windshield. It drives really well, feels smooth, and actually feels like you're driving a bit of a classier vehicle. But beyond that, it's narrower. It has a very poor design choice in its dashboard with red lighting, because that's sore to the eyes, and that's an easy color to be colorblind to. Despite the fact that it has 360 horsepower and 1800 newton meters of torque, it just doesn't feel like it pulls like it has that. You know, it just feels softer, weaker. I don't know how to explain it. You just don't feel like the power is there. It drives well, runs well, and it pulled those hills fairly well, but overall it just doesn't seem as strong as it should be when compared to the Man that only had 1600, and when compared to the XF, which I believe had 1650. It feels like it should pull significantly better than those trucks, and it just doesn't feel like it does. So where does that place it on our list? Well, it is above the Stralis for sure, and it is also above the Mercedes. The real question is, does it come above the XF? Does it finally de-seat one of the top three? And I'm honestly going to have to go with a no. And this comes off the fact that it's not as stable as the XF. Its narrower stance, even with the longer chassis, does not help. The red dashboard is just poor choice. Like I said, driving it for long periods, your eyes are going to ache much sooner and much more than when driving other trucks. And if you're colorblind to red, well, this truck's kind of out of the running. And like I said, just feeling like the power is not there just does not help. So with all that being said, no, it does not dethrone the XF in the third place. So our rankings now go the Euro 6, the Man, the DAF XF, and the Renault Premium, followed by the Mercedes and the Iveco Stralis. Not much more I can say about that. That's the truck in a nutshell. All right, with that being said, we will be moving on to the big two. Probably the two biggest rivals in Euro Truck, the Scania and the Volvo. Now, the Scania may have two trucks. And it appears that it does. The Scania R normal and the Scania Streamline normal. Looks like both of these trucks fall into the same category as a beginner truck. So we will be reviewing both the Scania R normal and the Scania Streamline normal. But with all that being said and done, folks, I hope you've enjoyed watching this as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, and subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Links are in the comments below. Other than that, this is going to be one big bugger. I'm going to be signing out, and I will see you next time.